Now I'm going to see if it is working again. It should, theoretically speaking. I just need to refresh. It's not showing me as live. Why is that? Okay, there we go. Alright, you'll love to see it. Let's see. Close that there. Take a moment to regroup. Okay, there we go. So, last time where we left off, I was able to complete the first chapter. Now I need to figure out how to get the 4-digit codes, or at least the last initials of 3 different people. Those 3 being Ross, Ches, and Ray. Now, the default, I'm assuming, is complete, meaning there's no other path I could take that would reveal another letter. I am thinking I may need to start working with a different Alice. Possibly. So, you can customize your Alice down to individual stat points if you wish, although it is not recommended for your first playthrough. It is, however, advised for subsequent playthroughs. You have to invest all 9 points before you can continue. So I am going to start customizing. I'm going to go with survival. I'm going to do fitness. Because I'm going to try to take on the queen. I'm going to try. It's not guaranteed. I'm a English lit major, so since I'm trying to go for a brawling kind of situation, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to designate 2 in social life to see if I can gather enough people to like revolt against the queen. But yeah, because I think the queen may be one of the characters I might need. I'm not sure. Okay. So this one is purely going to fight. Purely. Hopefully it works out. So, let's see if there's a new beginning here. Since it's a custom Alice. Nope, doesn't seem to be. Okay. So, here's the thing. We are going to try our best. It is not guaranteed, however. Hopefully that custom Alice was saved, so in case I do end up dying at a later point, I don't have to re-customize the character. At least that's what I'm hoping. I went online. I want to try to call Ches. Fallout Shelter seemed like the best option. So I'm going to take the crowbar. I'm going to take the radio, take a day's worth of food, and then I guess I'm going to take the first aid kit because I don't have that much supplies. Or not. You know what? I will drop the radio just to take the first aid kit because I'm trying to fight. So, there we go. So, yeah. Alright. I tried to push the door open. I am not... Wait. Should I try talking my way in? You know what? I will try to talk my way in because I... No, wait, but I don't have enough social. I'm gonna go for it. I figured from the way she was standing, I figured from the way she was standing, holding the door, that she was poised to slam it in my face if I as much as tried pushing. So, I didn't. Nothing else that I owned would have been able to withstand the heavy door but my crowbar. Oh, turning out to be a useful purchase already. The moment she saw me move, she tried slamming it. She didn't even notice the crowbar. That was her mistake. The door slammed against the metal like when you try to close a car door, but your seatbelt is in the way. A terrible, jarring sound. She was out of balance. I pushed against the door and she stumbled back. Woohoo! But you did try to get the rest in with you, right? I tried to get as many in as I could. Well, good. So, how did that math work out? It wasn't math. It was narrative. Her narrative was, this shelter is full, but we can take people who have their own supplies because we have none to spare. I knew then already it was bullshit, but I had to humor her. Anyway, the narrative math was very simple. 1 day of food for every person she was letting in. So, we talked about it. But of course I only had enough for myself. Or for one other. I decided to just go in alone. I'm not dying. I only had enough food to feed myself. Should I have given it to someone else instead? No. Or, well, if there'd been families or children. It was just us childless 20-somethings there. Fair enough, I guess. Still, pretty cold. Anyway, I left the others behind, and the door closed behind me with a bang. Oh, I didn't have enough supplies. I barely had time to get my bearings before she started taking command again, telling me to hurry up and empty my bags. Empty your bags? Alright. I asked her who put her in charge, because I have a crowbar. Dude, I'm just here to pick a fight at this point. I want revenge against her, dude. She's killed me so many times. It's not even funny. Holy shit, Alice. I didn't know you had it in you. I don't know. I was tired, stressed out of my mind, panicking, and the bitch tried to keep us outside, and now she wanted my stuff? I didn't have time for her shit. You go, girl. How'd she react? Stunned that someone would actually stand up to her. Oh, I already read this. Okay. I mean, this was kind of what I had been preparing for. I was just mentally in that space, I guess. Anyway, a lot of people stopped and took note, and she went quiet. Did she leave you alone afterwards? The place had maybe 20 people in it, us included, but she stayed away from most of the rest of us. So yes, she did. What? I was successful? Hold up. Were you the last to arrive? No. Soon after us, there were some others. These she let in without trouble. Okay. I stepped in! Dude, I'm just picking a fight at this point. Did I mention I was damned fit in this dream? I didn't give her a chance to protest. I just pushed her away and opened the door to the people outside. She tried jumping me. Catfight? But my friends backed me up and pulled us apart. But then her crew, Ray and his friends, showed up, and all of a sudden there was a whole fracas. The people waiting outside took the opportunity to stream in, although half of them just slunk into the shelter. And the other half? Joined in on the fracas, of course. So I guess, in the end, you won? Well, the alternative was that she would have won. What happened next? The end of the world happened next. The bombs. We were all underground, down a set of stairs leading to the actual bunker. It was filled with barrels and barrels of beer and other drinks, but at least there was light. For a while. Okay. This is normal. Okay. Ray and his queen wanted to sit tight and wait for help. A few of the others wanted to find an alternative way out, maybe through one of the ventilation shafts. A third option would be to keep working on the trap door. It opened out, but if we removed the hinges and got it to collapse inward, and then dug up through the debris... Yep. Okay. Like a ventilation shaft. I mean, seriously. Oh, dang, was that different dialogue? Shit. So I'm too fit in this dream, so I can't fit in the ventilation shaft. I don't... Yeah. No. It was. Specific. Anyway, we asked around for other volunteers, but no one wanted to do it. It was a very small shaft, and no one knew if it actually could be traversed or not. What if you just went around the bend and then got stuck? How would anyone get you out? So, what did you do instead? I decided we should try to enlarge the ventilation shaft. That seems kind of dangerous. Well, it felt like a better option than the trapdoor. At least there was a potential path all the way to the surface. Yeah. Well, we tried to pull down the metal tube, figuring that would enlarge the hole a bit at least. That was not the best of ideas. I was working underneath it. Uh-oh. Yeah. Turns out it's not a good idea to go messing with the roof. Something must have gotten loose during the bombing, some load bearing this or that, because as we hammered and hacked away, it cracked. Oh shit. I really wish the dream had ended with me just getting my head smashed in with a chunk of concrete, but no, of course not. The roof collapsed. I tried to get away, but I got knocked out. When I woke up, I couldn't feel my legs, probably because they were buried underneath all that rubble. Jesus, Alice. You have a really fucked up subconscious. It took a while. I think it must have been either internal bleeding or shock of some kind that finally did me in. But not before I begged and cried for hours. But there was no one to help me. Just me, the darkness, and the crushing rocks. And I died. Wait. This is weird. Huh? The dream? Yeah, really weird. You weren't kidding when you said it was lucid. Oh no, I already read this. Okay, so there's nothing new here. Instead of the ventilation shaft, I'll probably just go with, I guess the door? Or I can try waiting it out. I have to redo all that stats. Okay, start customizing. So it was 3 survival, 3 fitness, 2 social, and 1 supply. Accept and start. So I just need to beat the queen in her dungeon. Let's skip. I went online. Immediately tried to call Ches. The Fallout shelter seemed like the best option. Gonna take a first aid kit, take the crowbar, and take a day's worth of food. I can't take anything else, so I'm leaving. Now I'm gonna close this. I tried to push open the door. Okay. I decided to go in alone. I couldn't do it. I backed out of the deal. Okay. So, I asked her who put her in charge. I stepped in. Um, um, opening the trap door would bring in all the radioactive shit, though. Staying put and waiting for rescue seemed the best option. Seems like waiting to die to me. Well, the radio did say there'd be fallout within 24 hours. Anyway, it wouldn't be forever. Well, no, unless you were planning on dying down there. Or maybe living with moles. We couldn't make do forever, of course. Eventually, we had eaten all there was to eat. I had no idea what the fallout situation was outside, but hopefully better. What then? There was no help, of course. Nothing at all. The radio didn't come back on either. We were also running out of batteries and candles. Soon, we'd be reduced to sitting in the dark drinking beer. Jesus. I guess the bitch queen must have agreed something needed to be done? Actually, no. She was... I think something broke in her when there was no help. She couldn't act anymore. Ray actually came over to me and asked me to help, but there was nothing I could do. She had started drinking already, adamantly refusing to think anything but that there would be help, sooner or later. What did you do? I decided to try the ventilation shaft. I stood on the shoulders of some of the others, and I managed to dislodge the grate on one of the shafts on the roof. I shone a flashlight in, and saw it was just barely big enough for one thin-shouldered person. Sounds like someone I know. Yeah, I might be thin-shouldered now, but in the dream I was considerably more buff. I tried, but I couldn't fit. You have the weirdest, most specific dreams. I mean, seriously. I don't... Yeah, no, it was specific. Anyway, we asked around for other volunteers, but no one wanted to do it. It was a very small shaft, and no one knew if it would actually be traversed or not. Decided to try the trapdoor instead. The trapdoor, huh? Seems like the safest idea. What did the bitch queen think? If she was set on staying inside, she wouldn't lift a hand to help. I'm pretty sure that even if we managed to open a door to the outside, she'd still stay. Did you? Open a door? We managed to break open the trap door so that it opened inwards. This only took a few hours. The guys who had been helping me with the door were both hit by the rubble. I think one got his leg half crushed and the other got a really nasty blow to his head that gave him a concussion. Oh, damn. But aside from that, it must still have felt pretty great, right? Not really. For a brief moment, there was a flash of daylight from outside, but it was just a flash, like someone offering you hope just to snatch it away immediately. But at least we were reminded the sun still existed. So, how much work was there? A lot. Really a lot. I wasn't alone, at least, but it looked pretty bleak. So, did you go at it? Well, I also knew that the dust would be radioactive, at least to some degree. There were over a dozen of us there to help me clear the rubble. We needed to get it done fast if we were planning on living tomorrow. So what did you do? We started digging. So we started digging. It took maybe 2 days, but by the end of it, there was a light. And then? Well, I and most of the others felt like complete shit. We were throwing up. I had this absolutely awful migraine headache. It was awful. A lot didn't make it at all. They were just too weak. It was the radioactive dust. But it didn't affect you as badly? I managed to soldier through it then, but I had a feeling I wouldn't be bearing any children with only one head after this. Why am I not laughing? Because it's not funny. So, what did it look like? The world? It was destroyed. We crawled back, black in the face and bleeding from our hands, into hell. The city was in rubble. Everything was covered in black ash, some of it still falling from the skies. In the distance, fires. All around, silence. Jesus. So what did you end up doing? Well, the bitch queen wanted to force our hand. She said in no uncertain terms that she was staying right there and that anyone who didn't want to wait for rescue was free to leave. And you? Were you free to stay? I wasn't going down without a fight. That fallout shelter was ours. Whoa. I admire your moxie, but she doesn't sound like the kind of person you want to pick a fight with and lose. What was she going to do? Throw me out? I was already out. So, what was your avenue of attack? I was done with the bitch. I socked her on the jaw. You did what? Yes! Finally! Yeah, I did. I have no remorse either, because this bitch killed me so many times during my first playthrough and made me rage quit. This is personal. The world stands in ruins around us. There are people hurt and injured all around, people in need, people who could easily use a shelter, and this bitch and her crew is standing here essentially giving out death sentences. She deserved, at the least, a beating. But I was acting on impulse. She never saw me coming. I lifted my crowbar and... wait, what? Your crowbar? You attacked her with your crowbar? Yeah, I was all pumped up on adrenaline and just grabbed it. She tried lifting her hands to protect herself. I think half the reason it was so effective was that she wasn't expecting it. Crowbar to the head. Must have been pretty gruesome. Effective, though. She was out cold. And Ray? Did I not tell you that... Did I not tell you I am a goddamned Sarah Connor in this dream? I knew he was coming. I grabbed the bitch queen before she could fall. Christ, Alice! He pulled out his gun and aimed it, but I was now holding the very much knocked out girl as a shield. Yo, this is personal, let's go. Go on. He hesitated, long enough for one of my friends to rush forward and grab his arm and wrestle the gun away. Long story short, I won. That is cutting it short. What did the others say? What did the bitch queen say? What did you do with the gun? The bitch queen didn't say much. She had trouble talking. I think I knocked half her teeth out. Maybe broke her jaw. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. She had a concussion, that much was sure. Ray was subdued. We didn't kill them or anything, though. We kept them like prisoners, I guess. The price of coming in second place. Dreamyu is a weirdly sadistic character. She deserved it, after everything she'd done. Anyway, the shelter... She deserved it, after everything she'd done. Anyway, the shelter was ours. Yes! Revenge! And the gun? I... actually lost it. Someone took it in the fracas, and it was gone. I don't know who. I didn't really care, either. Maybe one of Ray's friends had it. They didn't stay. At least it didn't come... At least, it didn't come back to bite us in the ass. So why didn't you just kick out Ray and his queen, too? She was in no state to travel, and he wanted to stay with her. I remember this one moment the queen and Ray were sitting on a bench down in the shelter, huddled up close. Ray took his jacket off and wrapped it around her shoulders. I remember the jacket had this big, gold-embroidered text that said, Lucky 7 on it. Not so lucky. I don't know why it jumped out so clearly to me. Anyway. Hold! 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 Hold the phone. 7. So, you stayed at the shelter. For how long? Well, the idea would be to wait out the worst of the fallout, period. Shelter King, yes! I got the achievement. Let's go! Revenge! Unfortunately, the trapdoor was totaled, and there was a lot of debris already inside the shelter. But we built a kind of makeshift thing out of tarp instead to keep out the worst, and did our best to clear out what had come in. Alright, so, how long did you stay? Essentially until our supplies started running out. So, which was practically immediately, but at least we got a moment to rest. So, where did you go after this? Well, by this time, we'd actually gotten a few other wanderers come by. Most of them were headed out of town, towards an evacuation center, set up at the college at the edge of town. What, like, your college? Yeah, talk about going back to where you started. So, you decided to go? I thought about doing something else. Going looking for Ches or whatever. But I felt like I was responsible now, for all of these people. They looked to me to make a decision, and the only right decision was to go there. Nice. So you bundled everyone up. Well, almost. The bitch queen wasn't going anywhere. Her loss. And not everyone at the shelter wanted to go there. Many had other places they wanted to see first. Homes, families, friends. You bundled everyone important up, and then you headed out. What was it like? It was pretty heavy. The streets were jammed, there were bodies everywhere, and they had all started to smell. Everything was covered in ash. Not to be recommended. But eventually, we neared our goal. So, it was real? The evacuation center? Not so fast. There was a slight obstacle still on the way. Oh? What's that? The river. There's a river? Not something I had thought about either. I didn't live anywhere near it, so whenever I crossed it, I just drove over it. But there it was, a geographical reality. So? I mean, the bridges were surely still there. True, but when we approached them, we realized they were occupied. Uh-oh. By whom? I'm not sure. I saw them from afar and kind of ducked into cover. I saw immediately they weren't good news. They had guns and were harassing the other people who'd come to the bridge. I think they were mugging them. I decided to wait nearby and see what would happen. Somehow it felt like this kind of thing couldn't be forever. Either a bigger, more powerful group would come along and chase them away, the government would show up, or then they'd get bored and leave. So, I decided to wait. Alright. Where did you hole up? There was actually a parking garage nearby. You could just stroll in and walk up to the upper stories, from where you had a perfect view of the river. Right. Not the best cover, though. I scouted through it and found a staff area. It was small but empty. The problem was, of course, where to fit everyone. So we created a rota system, where some would wait and watch from the top of the parking garage, and others would find somewhere else to hole up. I was in the garage permanently. What about supplies? There was always loot to be had from surrounding buildings, even if not all of it was perhaps the safest. I did a run before settling in, gathering what I could. So, down to wait. How did that go? Well, I was right. Eventually the government showed up. I was on lookout when it happened. The men down there saw something and suddenly they were in a huge hurry, packing up their guns and their loot, and running away as fast as their legs could carry them. A few minutes later, these huge military trucks came driving down, unloading soldiers before continuing. Ain't that just lucky? I was pretty happy, yes. We ran down to meet them. They were directing survivors, calling them to them with these huge speakers. The guards at the river had full NBC gear, masks and all, which was in stark contrast to us. But we were sent through, and soon enough we were on the way to the evacuation center. Oh my god. Wait, I'm probably going to trip the radioactive sensor. Because I'm very badly injured at this time. Yeah, I was too injured. I went right. And what about your crew? Some went left, some went right, depending on. It didn't matter. There were no more groups, just the living and the dead. They gave us back our old clothes at the other end, which was the thing that really should have freaked us out. Most were just grateful, but that meant they considered you dead. Yes. Through the fence, I saw the ones going left, leaving towards the dorms, all wearing what looked like... Yes. Through the fence, I saw the ones going left, leaving towards the dorms, all wearing what looked kind of like prison uniforms. At least, they were likely to be clean and uncontaminated. And you? Where did they lead you? To the football stadium. Can you believe that? They didn't even care enough about us to get us out of the fallout. They had at least set up tents, stoves, and a kitchen for us, all staffed by similarly irradiated people, of course, presumably serving us irradiated food they didn't want to feed to the healthy ones. This can't be where your story ends. No. No. The weirdest part was still about to happen. The legs in the hookah and maybe a mushroom that makes you grow 10 floors high? No, but... Remember I told you about the music I heard on the radio when I fell asleep? Yep. Well, as I was lying there on my no doubt lethally radioactive mattress, staring up at the sky about half a second away from tears, I heard it again. Kind of like you'll turn the sound of thunder and explosions into a dream, kind of like you'll turn the sound of thunder into explosions in a dream. The football stadium is connected to one of the campus buildings by a long covered annex. They had put down the gates and locked them, but I could still go all the way there. Beyond the gate, beyond the annex and the building across, it was the admin building. You know, where the student office and rector's office and all those were located. There was an open window with a light on, and that's where the music came from. Pretty amazing you could hear it from all the way over there. I knew there was some connection there. Some truth hidden in those tunes. Something that would allow me to wake up from this nightmare, because that's what it was. Every single aching, painful, awful moment of it. But it was beyond locked gates, inside another building, presumably filled with soldiers with guns. You got this far. Was there really nothing you could do? I stared at the open window, listened to the music. And that's when I felt like I knew I was in a dream. This wasn't real, or it was, but it wasn't all that was real. That there was an alternative version of this dream where I'd done things differently, where my life had been different up until this moment, and as a result, I wasn't stuck on this side of the fence. Some kind of multiverse theory applied to strange realistic dreams? If there is an endless number of dimensions, who's to say there's not one where dreams are more real than reality? Anyway, no. More like, I remembered having made certain choices about what I wanted to do with my life, how I was going to spend my time, and all those choices and a million others had led up to this moment of helpless separation, but that if I had done differently, things would be different. Bravo. That's kind of how the arrow of time works. You do X today, and maybe Y happens tomorrow. Do Y today, and maybe Z happens. Yeah, except... what if you can foresee where the arrow of time is going to hit? What then? You're saying you had a prophetic dream? That's what I'm saying. The dream ended shortly after that. I think I ended up killing myself by jumping from the top of the stands. A final swan dive, rather than the slow wasting away they had condemned us to. And then I woke up. And? But failed to reach the admin building. Okay. So I got number 7. I got a number. Hell yes. Okay. This is good. You love to see it. So, I am going to now try something different. So, the queen proved useful. So now I need to figure out something else. So here's the thing. I would like to do a custom Alice, and I'm going to try to pursue Ches. So I'm going to try dating, survival, fitness, and supplies. Because I'm going to try to pursue Ches. See how that goes. Okay. I don't think Ches has anything to do with my career, so I should be fine. So, I'm going to try to go to Ches. Okay. Okay then. Wait, what do you mean Ches left? What? What happened? Oh man, I shouldn't have skipped the dialogue. I went with Ches to help him out with his sister. Too late? What do you mean? I just started. Wait, no. Hold up. Hold the phone. How do I go to the menu? Wait, no, this playthrough was for Ches. What do you mean? Dang it. He left in a hurry. It was all too fast. I couldn't just run off with him before thinking of my options, you know? I guess. Okay, what was your plan? The broadcast kept saying there stay indoors. Why does it say it's too late? I just started the playthrough, bro. What the heck? I decided to leave town. I don't know. I'm gonna take these two. Can I take the flashlight? I mean, map? Well, I can take the flashlight, which is good. Okay, I'm gonna try my best. Okay. Took my bag and left. I stuck with my original intention to leave alone. I wanted to try to find Ches. So, going after Ches, where would you start? Simple. I knew where he'd gone, to find his sister, and I knew where she lived. And where was that? Well, pretty far, actually. Out in the burrows. It'd take a while to walk, what with all public transportation out of order. As if you'd let something like that deter you. True, but it was pretty far, and I was alone. It would be dangerous. Did you reconsider? No, I wanted to find him, even if it was dangerous. Okay. It was with a lot of nervousness that I set out to find his sister's house. Had he made it? If he hadn't, what would I do if I found his sister? Should I try to rescue her? I had no idea. Go on. Cut to the chase. That's the tragic thing. I didn't get any of my answers. I came to the house, saw the last name's confirmation, and knocked. No one seemed to be at home. All the windows were blown in, so I walked around it, peeking in. Nothing but glass shards and dust and emptiness. No sign at all of Chez? None. Or, well, eventually I broke in, just to be sure. Maybe she was unconscious somewhere and needed help. But no. The house was empty. The cupboards had been slightly emptied. There was some signs of bags being packed in the bedroom, but that was all. Very anticlimactic. So what did you do? I decided to keep going. There were a lot of other survivors on the road as well, and soon enough the rumor started circulating. Okay, do I go over there? I mean, I failed to find Chez, and this leads to the college. I need to go somewhere else. There are other bridges across. I went downriver to find one. And what's to say the other bridges didn't have similar setups? Seems like a likely thing to do. I was willing to take the chance. I wasn't going to tangle with a group of armed men, even if I lost some time. How much did you lose? Well, that's the thing. I walked about a day through incredibly terrible terrain towards the nearest bridge. Quakes had made the riverbank collapse in most places, and the river was for some reason churning, making it impossible to ford. And when we finally arrived, it was broken. Yes, it had collapsed. Oh, geez. No hope of getting over? Well, it had collapsed, but not totally. Half of it was dragging in the current, some cars still hanging by some form of magic. Maybe it would be possible to balance across, but it looked pretty risky. I was so damn disappointed and tired, though, it actually felt like a good idea. How about just backtracking instead? No, damn it. I had gotten this far. I was crossing. I mean, the worst that can happen is I just redo the entire playthrough. Such a bad idea, Alice. I wasn't sure how much longer I could go on without making a stupid decision, or maybe this was my last straw. What was your plan? Take it slow and careful. I edged my way across in fits and starts, but it still held a few cars, didn't it? What difference did one more human make? Uh-huh. When it started creaking, I picked up my feet. I was too far along to turn back. Told you so. I scrambled up on a car that started sliding. I tried to grab hold of something in a panicked scramble and managed to steady myself against a piece of railing. And then I was yanked bodily and violently backwards. My coat had somehow snagged on the car. I couldn't even see how. I barely had time to scream before I was already under the water, seeing nothing but bubbles in the rapidly disappearing light. Jesus, Alice. I wouldn't recommend drowning to anyone, but luckily it was just the first breath that hurt. After that, I just kind of drifted off. Okay. So, I'll try to go fast. I'm wondering why I couldn't pursue Chez in the beginning. Okay, so 3+ in dating, 2 in supplies, 2 in survival, and 2 in fitness. We'll try that again. Accept and start. This time I'll try to read through it, just to see what I get. Alright, this is normal. No, I was with Ches. We were on a date. We were kind of ignoring the movie, although... Shit. I think it was the new Star Wars. Wait, who is Ches? My... boyfriend. I mean, I don't have a boyfriend, but in the dream I did. He a hunk? I'll take that as a yes. What happened then? Like I said, the TV suddenly turned to the emergency alert system. Okay. Jesus, sounds scary. At first I didn't want to believe it. I switched the channel, but they were all the same. And then the siren started. Okay. Well, Ches was right there, and he... Wait up. Tell me more about this sudden new boyfriend of yours. I thought you weren't in the dating scene. Okay. The moment they made the announcement, he got this face, like, panic. He tried calling a number, but the network was clogged, and then he jumped on my laptop for a moment to type up an email before basically just rushing towards the door. What? Without you? No. I mean, it was his sister. His sister's disabled. She lives in a house by herself, needs a lot of assistance. Blah, blah. He told me all about her. The point is, he had to go get her. He asked if I wanted to come, too. Oh, damn. Did you? Well, I knew that Ches wasn't going to wait for me. If I wanted to go with him, I had to go right away. Just grab my stuff and go. Making quick decisions in the spur of the moment? It doesn't sound like you. So, what'd you do? Wait, why is this different? Did I click something other than that? What the fuck? I went with Ches to help him out with his sister. So, I decided to go with Ches. I mean, how couldn't I? He clearly needed help. Altruistic. How long had you been dating? Cynic. Long enough to know my feelings were real. I mean, they felt real in the dream. Where did the sister live again? In a borough, practically the suburbs, so pretty far. Ches said he usually takes the subway or a bus. It didn't seem very likely we'd be able to catch a bus with the air raid sirens blaring through. Anyone with any sense would be bunkering up, bus and subway drivers included. So, how are you planning on getting to the sister? In less than 30 minutes. Oh, spoiler. The bombs didn't start dropping on us within 30 minutes. It took longer than that. They did start, though. That's lucky. Yeah, well, it didn't mean we weren't in a hurry. But you didn't leave empty-handed, though, right? Oh, right. Yes. I grabbed the biggest bag I had. Backpack. People always called it magic. Okay. So I think I'm going to need the first aid kit. I'm going to take the crowbar, the flashlight, and I'm going to take some food. The basic necessities, basically. Go on. Burrow, sister, bombs incoming. How did you plan to get there in the chaos? Chaos. Yeah. The streets were nuts. Everything and everyone was going crazy. Crashes everywhere, but no one was responding. The street was completely gridlocked. I'm talking maybe 15 minutes after the first announcement here. All it takes is a few cars in the wrong place. But you live pretty centrally, right? It had to be further out. Did Ches have a car? No, but if we wanted a car, there were tons around. People just left them. Keys in the ignition and ran. Holy shit. It really must have been bedlam. It was. I was so scared. So, steal a car or walk? We discussed walking. It was like 14 miles or something. It'd probably take at least 4 or 5 hours on a good day, and this wasn't a good day. Maybe a good start, though. Things might clear up outside the downtown area, and you might be able to steal a car there. Appropriate a car. Stealing sounds so criminal. Whatever you say. Any other options except stealing? Appropriating a car and hoofing it? Something in between. I know a guy with a motorcycle. He really loves that motorcycle. But I wondered if maybe he'd be willing to borrow it. I mean, for fuck's sake, we were going to be rescuing a disabled woman. You know, well, not really. It was a long shot, but potentially worth it. I didn't know I didn't know you knew how to drive a motorcycle. I'm a woman of many talents. So, what did you do? We decided to try appropriating a car, because he will say no. Uh-huh. By your description, this seems like kind of a bad idea. Okay. And what did Ches have to say about this? He was game. Anything to get to his sister faster.
Mic off. Mic on.
But he figured we'd make a better time if we split up. I went for the car, and he went to scout out a route. Sounds like a plan. You're not going to be terribly proud of me, but I did have a crowbar. Okay. Okay, good. And Ches? He was waiting for me a bit further up. He jumped in, giving me the lowdown on the situation up ahead. He seemed pretty surprised, actually, that I had managed to get a car. Surprised and elated. So, how exactly did you and your Hummer get through the downtown gridlock? With ruthlessness. Okay. That would be a waste of time. Ches's single-mindedness was what led me. I was pretty sure this was a monumental mistake and that we'd get caught outside and killed for sure, but I couldn't just leave him. So we kept walking. So how did that work out for you? You think it was easy? People had driven out into the sidewalks and left their cars. Everything was a mess. I tried going back down the main highway, but it proved pointless and I had to backtrack. Okay. Ches wanted to go faster, but he slowed down when he saw I was struggling. The worried look on his face went nowhere, though. And? And, well, once I got away from the downtown area, things were much smoother. I ran as fast as I could, as far as I could. No bombs. Still, no bombs. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my luck, but I knew I was pushing it now. We were getting closer, so we kept walking. You actually made it that far? How long was it until the bombs actually hit? I'm not entirely sure, but something like 2 hours? I think they hit everywhere else before they hit us. I'm not really sure why. Missile shield? Do we have one of those? Anyway, I knew that us getting this far was a miracle. Whatever hope we might have of finding a better shelter than Ches's sister's house was nil. I told him that, and he agreed. All he wanted to do was to get there. So, was she there? Come on, this is exciting. We went up to the door, and Ches started banging on it. After a few minutes, it opened on the chain, and I could just barely see a mop of pale hair and scared eyes. He told her it was him, and she immediately opened the door and jumped in his arms. Jumped? So, not a physical disability? It was, but she wasn't wheelchair-bound constantly. There was, however, a wheelchair in the entry hall. Anyway, we didn't really have time for niceties. The bombs were coming. Right. Miss Pragmatic. So, battle plan? I knew the most important thing was getting to shelter away from windows and walls. The bathroom in the center of the house seemed the safest. No basement? No basement. What about, like, food and things? Whatever the cupboard contained we took with us to our shelter, of course, and tried to protect it as best as we could. So, the bombs? They actually hit, then, in the dream? The first thing that happened was the windows blew in. I just closed my eyes and pulled up my knees and made myself as small as possible.
Mic off. Mic on.
Ches held his sister. The bombing continued for I don't know how long. But aside from the windows, we seemed to be pretty okay. Imagine what it must have been like downtown. I didn't want to think about what it was like downtown. It was scary enough out there. A few cars drove past, and I heard sirens. At one point, I ventured out to glance out the window, once the bombs had stopped hitting, and I saw a city center in flames. But at least you got out. How long did you wait in the house? For 24 hours. I don't know how safe the house was from fallout, really. Windows blasted open and all that, but it was probably safer than walking the streets. And as long as I only ate the uncontaminated food, it ought to be okay, I thought. All the food I had on me really did go, and in the end I even had to supplement a bit from the cupboards. I'm sure it was fine. So you ate through all of your supplies, and then I wanted to keep going. There were a lot of other survivors on the road as well, and soon enough the rumor started circulating. Okay. Yep. I decided to wait nearby and see what would happen. Somehow it felt like this kind of thing couldn't be forever. Alright. There was always loot to be had from surrounding buildings, even if not all of it was perhaps the safest. I did a run before settling in, gathering what I could. No! I remember Ches being there, comforting me, giving me water when I asked for it, but in the end, his face disappeared in a blur as well. Dude, no! Wait, hold up. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold up. Okay, I was doing a thing. Hold up. So I need to make a custom Alice. Dating again. Start customizing. Okay, all three. 2, 2, 2. Finish customizing. Accept and start. We're going to skip. Going to skip again. I went with Ches to help him with his sister. I'm going to take the first aid kit, the crowbar, the flashlight, 2 spares of food, and that's about it. Exit. I'm going to skip. We tried appropriating a car. No, that would waste time. I wasn't planning on leaving. I want to keep going. I went up and confronted them. Hopefully I'm not radiated at this point. I am radiated at this point. Are you kidding me? I opened my pack to show them, and he grabbed it, emptying it out and rifling through the contents. So much for a concerned citizen. So what'd they do then? They told me I was just a looter and that I should fuck off. At least they gave me my backpack back. To which you replied... I tried talking my way through. Ah, yes, the famous fast talk. How did that go? I just told him the truth. I was there to help Ches and his sister across. I told him the incredible lengths we'd gone to get where we were. I just told the truth. Did that work? They said they could let Ches and her through. I would still need to be checked for supplies. And? Well, I didn't have anything, so I just waved them goodbye. What a story. Sorry, I didn't feel very prosaic. Anyway, I still need to figure out what to do. I decided to reconsider the whole thing. I decided to back off. There had to be some other way around. Clever thinking. So what did you decide? Alright. Wait, how am I back to full health? Wait, what happened? Wait, were they there? Okay, so I survived somehow. Was Chestnut's sister there? Yes. Yes, they had made it! Yes! He was incredibly happy to see me. I was pretty happy to see him too. I somehow recovered from my radiation sickness. Let's go! Great. Happily ever after. Thank the Lord. Aside from all the millions of casualties, a happy ending. Did you have hot dream sex and then wake up? No, and our happiness was like... No, and our happiness was, like you so kindly pointed out, relative. The world would never be the same, and we knew it. But at least we had each other. But no, that wasn't the end of the dream. Do go on. Did you rebuild society or something? No. I was taking a walk between buildings and enjoying the fine weather. Since they had given a Fallout all clear, they sprayed the lawns daily and checked them for rats when I heard it again. Okay. Wait, I didn't get a number this time. I didn't get a number. What? I mean, each of the paths had to have had a number, right? Let me check the achievements real quick. Oh man, at this point in time in 2025, July 8th, only 19.8% of people got Chesna's sister to safety. Wow. Um... I'm not sure what to do. I would like the Dark Alice. Dark Alice is an Alice min-maxed for a maximum ruthlessness and efficiency. She will almost certainly be able to survive most of what the world throws at her, but she will not be able to reach the absolute final ending. She is a canny, super fit survivor with excellent organizational skills, albeit without social or romantic bone. Albeit without a social or romantic bone in her body. I need to find a number. I don't... Accept and start. So she would survive most scenarios. What if I tried to find and cross that river? I remembered buying a lot of canned food. So, since when do you have more than a spare packet of ramen noodles in your cupboards? Hey, stop underestimating me. Future Dream Me was a pretty organized type. Although, ugh, I don't know what I was thinking with all those cans. Definitely paranoid. Anyway, what happened next? So at least I had that going for me. I was sending out the same emergency broadcast as the TV and you called me a Luddite. Decided to tough it out at home. I actually sat down and Googled just that. Fact is that the top stories of apartment buildings might be the safest as far as protection against radiation goes. I don't know about the other effects though. Blast, heat wave, all of that. I guess that's what you need an underground shelter for, total protection. A crowbar, flashlight. Okay, I think I'm just gonna take these. I read about it in some novel or other. That's weird. I didn't know you were into those kinds of kind of things. Okay. for 24 hours. I took a clean handkerchief and tied it around my face, first of all. I didn't know how much good it would do against the ash, but it was better than nothing, I guess. Okay. I knew I was breathing death, though my makeshift breathing filter was... Yeah, I can't really do the sight justice, though, and I don't blame me for staring. Okay. 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 I'm wondering what would happen if I tried to bring Ross and the others over to the shelter. I insisted we keep moving out of town. But they wanted to stay. Okay. I told him we had no medical supplies here. If there was anything that could be done for him, it would be out of town. Maybe at some government evacuation center. We gathered what we could and set off. I knew the ash that was coming down was likely fallout and likely very dangerous, but it's not like we could do much about that in our bombed-out apartment building. They were coming. Okay, so in the end they agreed and we could start heading out. We were over a dozen when we left the apartment building. Out of curiosity, was it you or Ross who led? You know, that's the weird thing. It was me. I never really thought of myself as the leader type, but I was the one who had convinced everyone to go. So I guess that was kind of my responsibility now? Admittedly, seems kind of out of character. Must have been nice to be in a group, though. It was. Ross joked that we shouldn't worry. We hadn't even reached the first stage of the last four yet. The last four? Death, judgment, hell, and heaven. It's a Catholic thing. 4. 4! 4 is Ross. Oh my god. Alright. We started coming across survivors soon enough. People like us. Some with backpacks and some with just clothes on their backs. It was absolutely wretched to see them. Some were staying put, but most were moving. Rumor had it there was an evacuation center set up at the college. I made sure everyone had some kind of mask, though, even if it was just a shirt to breathe through. Okay. Okay, maybe I'll try to cross the river a different way, a different time. Right now I'm trying to lead a group to safety. Well, I got my letter in anyway, or number, so it doesn't really matter. So what were they, just thugs? I told them we had enough food and didn't need to steal theirs. No. Bummer. What'd you do? Save a few or damn you all? Save a few, not including me. I already got my number. That was very noble of you. I'm quite proud of you. I'm quite proud of Dream You. Oh, I see. You think so little of real me? I didn't say that. What was your next step then? I decided to wait nearby and see what would happen. I mean, I don't get an achievement this run either way. At least I don't think I do. And I already got my number. So I can just goof around. There are other bridges across. Okay. Nope, I'm doing it. Run as fast as I could. My resolve almost failed me when the remnants of the bridge started creaking underneath me. Imagine the feeling of something so massive actually moving as you moved. It felt like it could collapse at any moment. You're insane. I ran the first stretch easy enough, climbing over a car just about to collapse into the abyss. As my feet hit the ground on the far side of it, it started to move and groan, and the whole bridge shuddered like a drunk trying to keep his footing. Uh-oh. I ran faster. There was a narrow stretch of rebar. I didn't stop. I just balanced out on it like some action hero and ran across. I had no idea how I did that without falling off. Didn't you tell me a story the other day about how you fell off your stepladder in the kitchen when you tried to reach the top cupboard? Dream Me is more badass than that. So, did you make it across? The bridge was falling behind me, being swept away by the river, and I dashed as fast as I could. I almost thought I'd made it when something snagged my heavy backpack. Well, at least I had my number, so it doesn't really matter. So 7 and 4. That is pretty good, all things considering. One thing I am going to try to pursue next is I'm going to try to unlock something at the center. So, here's the thing. I'm going to make a custom Alice. I'm going to do it all for career. Because my goal here is I want to get to the center and then try my luck there. So I'm gonna do 2 of each if I can. Yep, just enough. So this should be okay. Finish customizing. Accept and start. Now the end goal here is that I want to get to the thingamabob. So I'm going to do online, talk to Ches. The Fallout shelter seemed like the best option. I'm going to take the crowbar, the flashlight, the map, the 2 food, and that's it. I'm gonna leave the first aid kit, because I don't think... Okay, so I'm gonna talk my way in. I decided to take the queen up on her offer. Okay, so I'm going to protest for my supplies. Because, yep. Okay. I stepped in. Okay. Okay. I'm going to see if I can fit in the ventilation shaft. If not, I'm going to have to lower my fitness. I carried on. So, yeah. Slow and steady. So this is the same. So I'm going to leave them to their own devices. Because I want to get to the center and see if I can dig around. I wanted to get out of town. I went up to them and confronted them. I told them I had enough food. Okay, so I'm going to hope at this point I'm not radiated. God damn it. Okay. So... I'm going to guess that Ross comes before the Queen. Because the Queen is probably going to be the Queen of Hearts. So it's going to be 4-7. So I have 2 digits that I could try to get. Okay. So I have... I'm going to do 3, 8, 4, and 7. Okay, so that failed. So I can scratch off the last digits of the names. Damn. Okay, so the career thing didn't really work. There's gotta be some other way. Okay, I'm gonna do Dark Alice. I'm going to accept and start. So I'm going to go with what I did last time, but I'm not going to bring myself anything heavy. So I'm going to go online, talk to Ches. Fallout, no, I need to think about my options. Decided to tough it out at home. I'm going to take 2 days worth of food, take the flashlight, and take the radio and the food. You know what, I'll take all 3 food. So I'm going to go light. I need to make sure... Okay, I took my bag and left. I went to see if anyone was still alive. Ground 0. Fallout shelter is a short-term goal. Keep moving out of town. Gathered what we could and set off. I went up and confronted them. Had enough food. Save a few, not including me. Alright, so there are other bridges across. I went downriver to find one. No, I went through. Now I'm going to run as fast as possible and see how that goes. So I'm going to assume I am light. Right? What do you mean? My backpack is not heavy. What? What would constitute a not heavy backpack? Damn. Okay, there's got to be something across that bridge, so since it's so hard to get across. Dark Alice again. Accept and start. Went online, tried to talk to Ches. I needed to think about my options. I decided to tough out at home. Alright, I guess I'm just gonna take 2 days worth of food and then exit. So, stayed for 24 hours. Took my bag and I went to see if anyone was alive. I suggested between 0, short-term goal, keep moving out of town, gathered what we could, went up and confronted them. I had enough food and didn't need to steal theirs. Save a few, not including me. Now then, there are other bridges across. No. I wanted to go across. Run as fast as I could. My backpack is not heavy. It literally has nothing. What do you mean? Dude. Find an alternate. Okay. Oh my god. New game. Like Dark Alice. Accept and start. No. Find out what was going on. Immediately tried to call Ches. Need to think about my options. Decided to tough that out at home. Gonna take the crowbar, flashlight, 3 days of food. And the radio. Okay, I'm gonna exit. Stayed for 24 hours. Went to see if anyone was in the building. We're doing ground 0. Short-term goal. Keep moving out of town. Gather what we could. Went up and confronted them. Told them we had enough food. Save a few, not including me. I decided to wait near, but no, I went to cross the river. Yeah, I was too unsafe, time to go back. So we walked the day back, just to end up where we started. Had anything changed in your absence? No, we approached carefully and hid without them seeing. I died. Okay, that's... How do you make it across the bridge? I don't understand it. It's always the backpack. Even though, like... Do I have to bring nothing with me for the backpack? I mean, for the bridge? That doesn't seem realistic. Um... Let me see. When logic and proportion have fallen sloppy dead, and the White Knight is talking backwards, and the Red Queen's off with her head. Have fallen sloppy dead when logic and proportion. I'm going to guess Ross is the White Knight. And the Red Queen is that.
Mic off. Mic on.
Okay, you know what? Alright, I'm gonna dump this playthrough. And I'm going to try to go achievement hunting. Because if I go achievement hunting, maybe I will stumble across a number. So, I guess I'm going to be silent for a while. Until I figure something else out. So, I guess I will see you when I get something done.
Mic off. Mic on.
Okay, I got Angel. Wow. What else was I supposed to do? Well, I mean, go in? It didn't feel right. I gave up my food and turned around and left. I stepped back from the door, and the sound of it slamming shut still echoing in my ears. It was the sound of desperation. They all looked to me for some reason. It was pretty weird. I didn't really think of myself as the leader type.
Mic off. Mic on.
Okay, sorry about that. Was eating something. So, did you go with them? Together? Somewhere else? I was pretty sure they'd follow me, but the thought of me as a leader? I don't know. It scared me. I thought about maybe heading off by myself instead. Could try to leave town. Do I have another achievement I can try to get? Use a car to get out of town. Well, I can try to use a car. Um... But the others had a much more important task. To figure out and clear an escape route. Once, and if I manage to find an appropriate car. Sounds like a plan. Okay. Had plotted out an escape route. I picked them up a bit down the street, bypassing the worst bedlam through a narrow alley they had cleared of waste bins. So, how exactly did you and your Hummer get through the downtown gridlock? But I think I dented and bruised a lot of other cars a lot more. Definitely Mad Max. At a few points, we actually had to get out of the car and push other cars out of the way, but we managed. It took a while, but in the end, the traffic cleared and I could actually hit the accelerator. We were out. Okay, got Furiosa. Okay. The roads were actually open. Well, no. Everything was still extremely gridlocked, but the cars were at least moving without needing extra nudging. Getting caught on the freeway during the explosion doesn't seem like a good time, though. What was your plan? I decided to get at least to the boroughs before leaving the freeway. I'm not entirely sure. Okay. Do we have one of those? Anyway, I knew that I was pushing my luck trying to get any further out, so I started looking for likely shelter stat. I parked the car and got out. One of the others suggested a friend's place. The boroughs have a lot of those suburban, white picket fence type houses, and it was one of those. No one was at home, but when we tried the front door, it was unlocked. We went in. Huh. You're lucky as hell then, if what I hear about Americans and their castle doctrine is true. What if there had been someone standing there with a shotgun? I don't know. Shotgun to the gut or a nuclear bomb searing off your face. I'm not sure which would be worse. Point is, 4 walls is better than none. Fair point. So, how did it go? Pretty bad. I can tell you that. I did not prepare for this playthrough. I knew the most important thing was getting to shelter away from windows and walls. The bathroom in the center of the house seemed the safest. Okay. Alright. How long did you wait in the house? For 24 hours. No, we had to share. All the food we had on us really did go, and in the end we even had to supplement a bit from the cupboards. I'm sure it was fine. Wanted to keep going. Went up and confronted them. Told them we had enough food. I tried talking my way through, but weren't having any of it. At one point I rolled back my sleeves. I do that when I get frustrated, and one of them spotted my watch. Your watch? I know. I had completely forgotten about it. It's this GPS runner's watch thing, but it needed an internet connection to work. But the guy who saw it didn't know that. So, what'd you do? I didn't really do much. They did most of the talking, crowding around, recognizing it had GPS. Finally, they offered me passage in return for it. I was the only one crossing, no one else. I accepted their offer. Fuck. What good would going to the thingamabob do, though? This is definitely a new thing. I'll just fight. I mean, I'm dead either way, and at this point I'm experimenting, so... It's not like I had planned it, but I knew they'd follow my example. All I had to do was get close enough, and then I yanked the leader's shotgun out of his hands and yelled, "Attack!" Like I was William Wallace while smashing the bastard's face in with the butt of the thing. What is this, Mad Max? Like I thought, the others joined in, charging at the ramparts. I turned the gun around, but there was nothing much to do. They were already swarming everywhere. No casualties? There were a lot of shots initially, but for some reason I thought they were all misses. They weren't. We lost a lot of good people. Was it worth it? I don't know, but we controlled the bridge at any rate. Well, I can't say I condone it, but you did get through. Yeah, and ahead, the evacuation center. So, alright. I went right. I went left? What? Okay. So I didn't get any numbers from there, but I got 2 achievements. I need to somehow cross the bridge. How would one go about crossing the bridge? The issue so far is my backpack, from what I'm understanding. Because yeah, besides finishing the game and finding all the numbers, I need to cross the river. Ugh, dang it. I'm trying to make it past the river. That's the thing. I have no supplies. So I'm going to take the first aid kit. No, actually I'm going to take nothing at all because I need to try to cross the river. So I am going in with nothing. Nothing at all. I left it as soon as the explosion stopped. Okay. Oh my god. Hell, yes. Appropriate word. Some of the doors were blown open across the corridor and I went to them and... yeah. Just in time to watch half the building fall away in a flaming sea of debris. Jesus Christ. Like you can imagine, I ran to the stairs. Lucky they were still intact. I was afraid the whole thing, would come crashing down any moment. You've got a very overactive imagination. Well, that overactive imagination caused me a lot of hurt. In the dream, anyway. See, as I was dashing down the stairs, I suddenly realized it was very, very dark. The fires from outside didn't reach all the way here, and I was already running as fast as I could. Oh shit. I tripped, of course. I think I managed to throw up an arm at the last moment, which saved my life. But it didn't save my head from bashing into the concrete wall. Ow. I was out cold for the rest of the night. What was your status when you woke up? Sore, in a lot of pain. I think I might have lost a tooth, but alive. Bruised, but alive. And the building hadn't collapsed on top of me. I was actually awakened by a flashlight shining in my face, blinking on and off and doing other kinds of pseudo-medical things to get me to react. What? No, I didn't want to skip. What the frick? Okay. Decided to go to the fallout shelter. Okay. Oh my god, I died! I mean, what was I expecting? I went out into the nuclear fallout. What? I act like that was something surprising. You know, despite all that, I went pretty far, all things considering. So... new game. What does it mean by sloppy dead and when logic is out of proportion? What would that mean? There's something at the end of that river. I swear to Jeebus. There has to be. Come on. So I can't have anything on me because I'm trying to get a not heavy backpack. So I'm going to accept and start. I need to speed run to that river. Because there has to be something. The river is so goddamn hard. There has to be a technique. Went online, tried to call Ches. Think about my options. Stay in my bathroom. I'm going to take nothing. So I study, stayed for 24 hours. I went to see if anything... Okay, I took my bag and left. Okay. I breathed in concrete, that's okay. To leave alone. I need to get out of town as far as I could go. There are other bridges across. No, damn it, I had gotten this far, I was crossing. So, I brought nothing with me. Yes, but not without injury. I had almost reached solid ground on the other end when a car started sliding across the tilting bridge right at me. It was mangled, charred, black, full of jagged edges from having exploded or burned or something. I dodged as best as I could, but the tip of a jagged piece of aluminum caught me across my thigh, cutting clean through my jeans. I was only lucky it didn't snag me. I somehow, through pure adrenaline, made it across just as the whole thing collapsed behind me. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Ha ha! Whew! Lucky, lucky you! I felt so, too, for about half a second. What? The wound. It was bleeding profusely. Did you know how to stem the bleeding? Even if I did, I had nothing with which to do that. I tried putting pressure on it, but it was a huge gash. Blood seemed to be coming from everywhere. Had it hit some kind of artery? Isn't there one in the leg? The femoral artery. But then you'd be dead in like 30 seconds unless there was a hospital right there. Well, it took a bit longer than that, but not much longer. I put as much pressure as I could on the wound, but there was just so much blood and I was too weak anyway to properly do it by myself. Bleeding out on the other side of a broken bridge, far away from any help, but it didn't take long, at least. Oh, fuck. Okay. Okay, I'm only going to bring the first aid kit. If this first aid kit weighs me down, we are going to have problems. I know there has to be a number beyond that bridge. There has to be. There has to be. There's no other explanation. There is no other explanation, man. Custom Alice, okay? Start customizing. 3, 3, and 3. Finish customizing. You know what? Instead of social life, because I'm going to be very antisocial, I'm going to go with career. Or you know what? One social. Finish customizing. Okay, accept and start. Alright, so here's the dealio. Here is the dealio. I think I didn't need about my options. I decided to dump it out at home. I'm going to take the first aid kit. I'm going to exit my inventory. I'm going to stay for 24 hours. Then I'm going to take my bag and leave. I'm going to stick it with myself. I needed to get out of town. Then I went to the other bridge. Then I went crossing, and then I ran as fast as I could. You better fucking move. Dude, I swear to God. Okay. Okay. Good. I have the first aid kit. I have the first aid kit. I had my first aid kit. I grabbed it in my pack with shaking hands. It's nuts how fast I started feeling weak once the adrenaline rush passed, and made a tourniquet above the wound. Smart thinking.
Mic off. Mic on.
Okay. Bringing the kit? Yeah. I was thinking the same. I don't know if it was as much as the stuff in the kit as the confidence it gave me that actually saved me. Or perhaps the wound wasn't as bad as I had imagined. And then you called an ambulance. Yes, finally. Okay, there has to be a number here. There has to be. I wish. And then I rested. After a while, I started limping away from the scene. Didn't you say it had taken you literally days to find even this crossing? And now you were injured. If I would actually have had to limp the whole way, there was no way I could have made it. But I was actually picked up, the first bit of good luck this whole sordid story, by a military patrol after less than half an hour. By then, I was already ready to lie down and give up. So, the government still existed? The evacuation center was real? Yes, and yes. They had a medic look to me. It turned out I was mostly fine, and then they dropped me off a block from the college. Said they had reports of some bridge being overtaken by bandits. Alright. There has to be a number. Come on, man. So. Alright. Four, seven. I mean, I can go the good old 1947 route. Okay, so I got all the achievements. What am I missing? How does... How does one go about doing this? Okay, look, I'm gonna do some Googling. At this point, I need to do some Googling. I've played this game for 4 hours. I've got all the achievements. How did I get all the achievements and still not got all the numbers yet? Like, make it make sense. So, I'm gonna see if I can get like a hint or something. Hold up. Okay. There we go. So, I'm gonna leave that there. Okay. Okay.
Mic off.
Okay, for as long as the supplies lasted. All the food I had really did go in the end. I even had to slip a minute bit from the cupboards. I'm sure it was fine. I also got to spend some time with Ches while waiting, and his sister. Her name was Mary, and she was just the nicest girl imaginable. She had this thing, Graves' disease, some kind of autoimmune thing anyway. She had to pop pills for it all the time. When I realized they were in fact iodine pills, I could have left and/or cried. Iodine pills? They keep certain radioactive isotopes from entering the thyroid. Anyway, point was, she had enough to share. Sounds nice, though. Boyfriend time, I mean. Some perks of the apocalypse. Yeah. Good God. He became so dramatic at the end. Ooh, drama. We don't want that. What did he do? He said I was the one. It really was dramatic, I'm telling you. But he told me that. He said he'd had 2 other girlfriends, but never in 1,000 years would either of them have come with him rushing across the city to rescue his sister. 3rd time's the charm? Just stuck with me, I guess. His one and only. No one'd ever said that to me before. So Ches is 1. Okay. Anyway, you ate through all your supplies and then I wanted to keep going. Okay, so I went up and confronted them. Told them I had enough food. Tried talking my way through. Okay. Alright, and then I died. That's okay. Now that I got that number, I can now try something else. There is one more I need. So this one says to take the crowbar, the radio, the flashlight, and food. My basic 3 anyway. Okay. Alright. I have a feeling this was going to prove to be more difficult than just taking the Greyhound, Yeah, but I knew I didn't have a lot of time to spare, so I hurried out, and... Oh, wait. You didn't leave empty-handed, did you? Okay. I took the crowbar, the radio, the 3 food... Because it said to take the radio, right? Yeah. And the flashlight. Okay. To walk past the worst. Started looking for shelter. Closest shelter. Joined the crowd running west. I started elbowing my way through. How charitable of you. Kill or be killed. Did you get through? I kept pushing my way through. That's when the roof started to collapse. Oh shit. Whatever common courtesy remained was thrown aside. It was a stampede. I let myself be carried along into the tunnel while the slow crush began behind us. Jesus. After it was all over, I was just relieved. I didn't feel anything else. Does that make me a terrible person? Only if you trampled a few children to get where you were. I don't think I did. Whatever the case, I got into the tunnel just as the subway station collapsed behind us. I don't know how many got caught back there, but yeah. I added my flashlight to a few of the others, but even so, it was pitch dark. It was terrible. Faces flashing in and out. People crying after loved ones. Okay. I fished a cracker from my backpack, and that's when someone made a grab for it. What? Seriously? Yeah, I reacted instinctively and ripped the bag from his hands, shouting loudly. A few people stopped to look, but no one stopped the bastard as he slunk off. I didn't even get a good look at his face. There were a few people who came up to me, my age, looked like they were a group, and asked if I needed any help. Don't trust strangers. I know that, but it was good to talk. They shared some of their food and complained about thieves, and then they wondered if I wanted to travel with them. What'd you do? I didn't trust strangers. I said thanks, but that I had somewhere I was going once I got out of there. They seemed to understand, and that was that. So, the next station. What did it look like? Like I said, these two stops were very close to one another, so it didn't take long to get there. But yes, it had claps too, at least partially. By the time I got there, there was already some kind of excavation taking place. Someone said they seen light. Fire, really? I think that particular subway building was made out of wood, some kind of heritage thing. Either way, the whole place was ablaze. They stopped digging immediately. In fact, they kind of blocked the hole they dug a bit. No one wanted to get caught in a firestorm. I went down the corridor a bit, away from the immediate smell of smoke. I don't know if that helped, with the irradiation I mean, but I didn't want to get exposed. At least you weren't trapped. True. Not that I got much of any sleep that night. The only lucky thing was that most of the smoke was swept away from the tunnel, rather than into it. But even so, we were all coughing, our eyes burning. The worst was, I think, when there was a whiff of something else, of barbecue. No way. Way. At some point, though, I must have fallen asleep, clutching at my possessions to myself. When I woke, everyone was already climbing out through the hole. I dusted myself off and got up, joining the line. So, the post-apocalypse. What did it look like? Indescribable. Chaos. I mean, literal chaos. A city is always kind of chaotic, but all the parts stick together. Windows have window panes. Doors are attached to doorways. Walls make the difference between inside and outside. Now it was hard to tell where the street ended and the ruins began, so to speak. I don't know what else to say. Did you have a plan? Continuing to move from the downtown area. Yes. Just like us, they were just walking down the street, completely dazed. Someone had written on the wall of the subway station, Matthew 4:1. 4. So, when insanity... So, logic and reason go away. When people become sloppy dead. When the White Knight is convinced. And the Queen is dead. Okay. So this leaves me with 1, 4, 4, 7. 1447. A quick Google gives me, then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Weird. Not so weird. Wilderness. Apocalypse. Frontier. They're all connected. What about radiation? I mean, wasn't that the big danger? Fallout? Yeah. There was this rain of ash coming down. It probably wasn't very good. I wrapped a shirt around my face and tried not to breathe in too much of it. I don't know how useful it was. So what'd you do? I of course started wondering about my friends and family, but it felt like they were so far away that there was nothing I could do about it. Ches, though, I think he had left town just like me. Sounds like you had to make a decision. So I cannot make a perfect ending on a Dark Alice run. So instead, I know I'm exiting the game a lot today. I'm going to reboot the game, and then I'm going to immediately go to the office. So I just need to be default Alice. Accept and start. I need to skip. All right. Or wait, would Ches be considered the White Knight? Hold up. Okay, so yeah, I'm kind of cheating, but it's 4714, so I was wrong. So it was kind of reversed. Okay. Or, yeah. Okay. So I need to think about my options. I'm going to tough it out at home. I'm going to take flashlight map, drop the sleeping bag, take the food. I guess I'll take the crowbar. And then I'm gonna leave. Okay. 24 hours. Took my bag and left. I stuck with my original intention. Get out of town. Went up and confronted them. Told them I had enough food. Alright. Wait, why am I badly damaged? Fuck. Shit. Dang it. Okay, I'll use the Red Queen as a safe passage. Okay, hold up. Hold the phone. Because, yeah, the Queen is safe passage. Okay, default. Accept and start. I still think it's 1447. I'm gonna try 1447 first. If that doesn't work, I'll just... Okay. Alright, and then I'm gonna go to the Fallout shelter. Take the flashlight, map, radio, 2 days of food. Gonna exit. Leave. Try talking my way in. Take the queen up on her offer. Asked her who put her in charge. Protested. Back down. Opening up the ventilation shaft. Crawled through. Slow and steady. Left them to their own devices. Get out of town. Went up and confronted them. I had enough. I tried to open the box. Alright, so I'm going to try 1447 as I assume it's going to be. If not, I'll do 4714 next time. Okay, 4714. Okay, fine. Fine, if you want to make that the code, fine. 4714. Okay. Click anywhere. Alright, time to speedrun. New game. Default Alice, accept and start. Alright. Unironically, I completed all the achievements before finishing the game. Don't ask me how I did it. Don't ask me how. Alright, Fallout shelter. I'm gonna take the flashlight, the map, the radio, 2 days worth of food. And I guess I'll take the crowbar. Sure, why not? I can't take the crowbar. That's okay. Alright. I don't need the crowbar anyway. Okay, I tried talking my way in. Decided to take the queen up on her offer. Asked her who put her in charge. Stepped in. Back down. Ventilation shaft. Carried on. Slow and steady. Left them to their own devices. I wanted to get out of town. I went up and confronted them, told them I had enough food. Alright, tried to open the box. 4714. What? What? You opened it? What? How? I knew the code. I'd lived it. I'd learned it as I fell into the rabbit hole again and again. You're scaring me, Alice. I'm sorry. It wasn't my intention. I didn't start this conversation with the intention of scaring you. I didn't remember then that... That what? Alice? What were you going to say? What was in the box, Alice? The box? The box was the test. Damn. How didn't I see it earlier? The music, the radio, Rabbit. What? I still don't understand. And what did you mean earlier? What didn't you remember when we started this conversation? I didn't remember the music. I didn't realize what it meant. Don't you understand? Rabbit is free. No, I still don't understand. For God's sake, Alice, it was just a dream. It was just a dream. Yes. Yes, it was. Thank you for reminding me. Alice C. has just logged out. Jesus Christ. In the end, I had to search up the fucking cheats, because dude, I got lost there. Literally. I didn't see another way to go about it. Alright. Yep. in 29 playthroughs. God, I am horrible at this game. So, I got all the achievements. Only 20% of players have this achievement. Wow. Okay. Well, that was the bottom of the well. This was actually pretty short, all things considering. I thought it would be longer. Well, it was a pretty good game. I ain't gonna lie. Very confusing. So yeah. Thank you for joining in, and I will see you later.